Hi, this is Charlie Masala. I would like to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day today. And I would also like to share some of the principles that are required for fathers to become excellent fathers. Should I say perfect fathers? Because we are expected to strive for perfection. Fatherhood is a principle and a function that was started and initiated by God. So if you want to be successful at doing something that God has started, you will have to play according to the rules of the one who created, uh, you know, fatherhood. Fatherhood was not it's not even a product of a democratic government or whatever kind of government you can think of, but fatherhood it's a calling, and it is also a responsibility that God has given to mankind. Uh, the male is the foundation of the human family. Yes, I say so. I said so. The male is the foundation of the human family. In the hierarchy of the family, the fathers are not at the top, but they're at the bottom. And that is because fathers are also a foundation of the human family. So if you look at the building, the most important part of the building, my pastor is a civil engineer, so he talks about structures and he talks about buildings. And he taught us that the most important part of the building is not even the chandeliers or the roof or the living area, or the paint of the house, but it's the foundation. Why? Because the foundation carries all the weight of the building. So that is what fathers are supposed to be like. And I'm not talking about fathers who have escaped from their responsibilities and who are not in their homes and who are not even known to their children and their family. But I'm talking about real fathers. Real fathers are supposed to be engaging in their own homes. If you look at the plant, a most important part of the plant, have you realized that it's not even the leaves or the branches, but the most important part or the stem, but the most important part of the plant is the roots. If the roots are rotten, that plant don't have to be killed by anyone. That plant will die by itself. So that is what fatherhood is about. The problems that our societies even today are engaging in, and even the problems that our government has. And I've heard our president talk about the issues of gender-based violence, and talking about how women are being violated by their loved ones. And I can trace those malfunctioning in our own society back to a lack of proper and excellent fathering from the fathers in the home. It all starts in the home, because the home is actually the prototype of the society and the nation. Whatever happens in the homes, that is what we will see outside there in the communities. So the responsibility of fathering remains one which is so important. If a person is not, a child is not fathered from a home and growing up in a home where there's a father who nurtures and who also give direction to the family and who also teach the kids and teach his own children, that family and that child from that kind of a family will not be a good citizen of our country. And that is why it's so important that even if a child is growing up in a fatherless environment, it is important that every child get a male figure who is able to play a role of a father, because what fathers deposit in their children remains very, very important. My father died when he was 91, and I can tell you that I've learned hard work from my father. I've never seen my father oversleeping in his room and so on. throughout my life. My father had been working from the time I was, old enough to realize what was happening until the day he died. He was always doing something, and that has given all of us a a foundation that we are also using for our own homes. I've learned hard work from my own, biological father, and a lot of other, morals I've learned from a home. So you might be a father who is not engaged. Maybe you are not engaged with your children. Uh, Not engaging with your children and not, being involved with the children, it's not helping the family. It's not helping the society. It's not helping our countries, and it's not helping the world, because people who are raised without a father figure, they have something missing in them, because they don't receive the proper guidance and proper love and proper fathering from a male figure who is called a father. I know that there's many women who are doing their best to ensure that they can somehow, produce the best out of their children. But I want to encourage you fathers who are out there. If you have a child, whether that child was outside of wedlock or whatever the case may be, that remains your child. You should take responsibility of your own children, and then we will have a better society. It is God's plan and design for a male person to play that role. I know that we are pushing a lot of rights for different gender rights and so forth, but when you look at the plan of God, God has planned it in such a way that children must grow from a home. And as we speak today, we have a lot of children and a lot of young people who are growing really by God's grace, and they become, some become great and so forth. But it has been proven that kids who are grown in an environment where there is a father figure and a father is taking responsibility, they end up being the best, citizens of our world. The jails today are filled with young people who have found themselves on the wrong side of the law, and when you trace that back, you trace it back to a father who is not responsible. It's not everyone who is a true father, because some, have just donated sperms and they ran away. I'm not talking about fathers like that. And if you're that kind of a father, I admonish you to reconnect back and play your part of being the best father that you can be to your own children. When we read from the scriptures here, from the book of Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6, from the King James Version, it says, "Train up a child in the way that he should go, or she should go, and when she or he is old, will not depart from it." So our responsibility as fathers to get involved with our children can never be replaced by government and jails and prisons. That responsibility is lying squarely in the shoulders of the parents, and the father plays a bigger role in doing that. There are so many homeless children who don't have a home. And I can tell you, that is somebody else's child. That person has a father, but that father might not be playing the responsibility that they need to play. Why? Because the problem also that we have is that we have people who are now supposed to be fathered, but they are also not fathered. So they don't know what it looks like to father properly. I just want to remind you that the family institution cannot even be replaced by governments and by laws. God is smart, and in his smartness and in his wisdom, he already have given mankind, certain rules to live by. And if we don't live by those rules, we self-destruct. And today, the reason why there's so much self-destruction is because men believe that they are able to do things themselves, and they can do it their own ways, and they are more smarter. When God said certain things, they say when God said certain things, it was when things were not the same and so on. But God created the world, and He is the one who knows how it should run. So if we are to be successful in our role as fathers, we will have to submit to the lordship of Jesus Christ, and also to the laws that God has put in place. There is a reason why God, created a male and a female. Those two individuals are both important. They are both powerful. They are both created in God's image and His likeness, and they are both as important, as I said, and as powerful. But they are, even though both men and women are equal, but they are different. They're different in function. And there's a reason why God did it that way. And that is why even if you try to be like a woman and you're a man, you will see that it doesn't look well. Why? Because God already, already determined that you are a male. So if you're a male, be happy to be a male and play the role of being a male and play a role of being a father. It's not going to help us to try and change God's principles to suit us. And if you try and do that, it doesn't work. And that is why when a man and a man come together and they call each other husband and wife, it doesn't work. Why? Because a male will always be a male, and a female will also be a female. And and God even built them differently. So no matter how much you bend, no matter how much you try and be like a woman, you will never be a woman. You are a male. Take that responsibility and help us create a society where children are raised with the fear and the respect of elderly and the fear of God. So, fathers, I admonish you to also remember that the oldest institution that God have created before even government or a school or other institutions, that was a family. The family is very, very important. It's a very important part of our lives. And that family, God has put man to be the foundation of that family, to be the one who house bond that family, who's the one who create the peace, is the one who teach the family the laws of God. You are a husband or a father because God have extended Himself through you so that you can be able to teach and to train our children, and that is very important. You got to play that role. We got to get involved in loving our children and in being available for our children, helping them with schoolwork, helping them understand the role that they have in society, and helping them as we ground them in principles. And those principles that we need to ground them can only be the godly principles that God has given us. So I would like to also share, as I talk about the family, principle, the principle of a family, that the family is the foundation or the foundational unit for reproduction. The family is the prototype of society. The society can only be as strong as the family. So if you have got a weak society or a strange society, I can link that back to a weak family. And who is the builder of the family if it's not the father? So the responsibility that you have it's amazing. It's awesome. And it is a fulfilling responsibility when you start to live by what God expects. So society reflects is the reflection of the family. So, and the purpose of the family is to secure the society, and the sanctity of the family is only guaranteed by a presence of a sober father in a home. So there are three things that I would like to remind you, which the Bible teaches. Three things that will help in building your family as a father to your family. Number one is knowledge. When we get married, we don't write an exam. It's amazing that the only license that South African government gives to anyone without even a test, it's called a marriage certificate. For you to get a marriage certificate, they don't require no test. They just they just ask you for a witness and you sign, and then you are locked for life. But because there's no training for fathers, we find ourselves in this situation. So embrace knowledge, appreciate information. You will have to learn. It doesn't come by osmosis or diffusion. It doesn't come automatic. You got to learn and have knowledge on what it means to be a great father. You also need understanding. Understanding is comprehension, and of course you need wisdom. Wisdom is the application of what you know. So it's not just knowledge, but it's also application of what you know. So as fathers, on this Father's Day, I would like to encourage you to remain focused. And I know there are a lot of challenges even during this COVID-19 that we find ourselves in. But you are to be seen by your children to be holding the fort. You are to be seen to be responsible. You are to be seen to be a father who engages with their family. It doesn't help to remain angry and not talk to anyone. Get to engage your children. Have devotions in the with your family. Engage your family and teach your family. It's the responsibility of a father to teach their families. So thank you very much for giving me your attention, and God bless you, and I will see you at the top.